Hello, everyone. Welcome to Teledec's first webinar of 2023, and it's going to be an amazing one. We are talking about critical thinking skills and how to develop it using our deep learning engine. This is a really important topic for 2023 and beyond, and it has implications as well with artificial intelligence, and we're going to be exploring that a little bit too. So I just want to make an introduction first with all of our panelists. First off, we have our CEO and founder, Kushal Bose. Kushal is a nuclear engineer and he's a professional filmmaker. Kushal is passionately involved with all aspects of design, including storytelling and deep learning. He's based out of Chicago and has worked with many big players within the automotive industry, as well as lots of other industries, and is a consultant and developer to build successful learning programs. So that's Kushal Bose. He's going to be presenting for us first today. Then we also have the next person presenting, which is Emiliano De Laurentiis. He's trained as a cognitive psychologist with a graduate degree in educational psychology and is an early adopter of technology. He seeks to democratize learning. He's looking for that sweet spot of intersection of technology, science, teaching, learning, pedagogy, and he's founded several companies to meet these goals. His current project, Knowledge Avatars, incorporates individualization, teachbots, microlearning, and mixed media, and it simplifies content creation and publishing so that any subject matter expert can create and monetize their knowledge. Okay, so Emiliano, because you're like a first-time speaker, if you can just wave to everyone and say hi, because Kushal is very famous.
Hello.
There we go. Awesome. Okay, and then our next panelist is Colby Irvine. Colby Irvine was on our roundtable in December. Colby is a trained specialist in the automotive industry. He drives electrical troubleshooting and diagnostics training and helps technicians at the dealer level with emerging technologies and hands-on training. He's a subject matter in the automotive industry and is a passionate learning and development instructor for both employees and customers. So Colby, if you want to just wave and say hi. There he is. Okay. And then Devendra. Okay, so Devendra Thoma, he's the former head of manpower development at Mahindra. He's an automotive engineer specializing in manpower development and training. He's designed and developed training programs for automotive customer processes, soft skills, leadership development, and is an active proponent of emerging technologies in the automotive industry. So Devendra, if you can just wave to everybody. Oh no, he's not on the call yet. Okay, when Devendra comes on, Chris, if you could just check to see if where Devendra is. Thank you. And then the last one is not, well, we've seen him many times, is Take Kun Tan. Okay, Dr. TK, we call him. He's the senior technical specialist at Navistar. He has a PhD in electrical engineering, specializing in intelligent control systems. And as a principal engineer in advanced technology group, TK drives artificial intelligence related projects at Navistar in the US. So TK, you can just wave to everyone and say hi.
Hi, everyone.
So we have an absolutely incredible cast of panelists. Thank you to everyone who's here. I can see we've got 14 attendants. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to learning and development and you know, see what Teledec can provide for 2023. So Kushal, I'll let you present.
Okay, Evan, you want to turn the sound on from your end for the presentation?
Sure.
Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually on this very important topic. I have a tendency to go very fast with my presentation because I want to leave more time for the attendees to ask questions. To me, that's the most important part of a webinar. So I'll run through this rather quickly. but I will definitely come back to whenever there's a question. So I'll appreciate your participating in a question and answer session at the end of this presentation. So I want to start out by saying, why are we here? We are here because there has not been a time more interesting, more challenging than now, especially in the learning and development environment in the field. So our effort to create an innovative solution to mitigate this challenge is what we're going to be demoing. However, but before we get into that, I want to mention to you some of the drivers that's driving the whole learning and development space. So there are a few drivers that are one second. So drivers for future of learning. Number one driver is the skills gap. According to McKinsey, 87% of the companies say they have skills gap. Look at the skills gap graph now. We also have a huge talent shortage, more than ever in the history of US workforce. 69% in 2019, and it's even more now, about 71%. We also have a culture in our corporate learning centers to take a test, to pass the test and get certified and establish the fact that we have learned. In my opinion, in others' opinion, when you can Google something, why memorize? In other words, there's a difference between information and education. Information you can easily get from social media, but critical thinking is something that you have to develop. And our effort is to develop the critical thinking part of our learning process. Another important factor is today's remote environment of learning. The digital content is driving the knowledge and the learning more than ever before across the globe. We also are addressing different cultures, different people, different languages across the world. We have a huge global pool of people that we are trying to bring up to speed on a given technology. And of course, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, all of these, there's a confluence and trend and technology of experiential and contextual learning more than ever before. And then artificial intelligence is also, and the robotics is also driving jobs to really repetitious work are being done by robotics and AI, where human learning has to be centered around creativity, around collaboration, about ideas. That's another challenge to keep our employees engaged. So with all those variables hitting us, the learning and development professional, we feel that an increased focus on reskilling on a new digital platform offers a solution. And also, the digital platform opens a possibility of broadening learning to all levels of organization and all levels of categories. So let's try to show you what we are thinking and what we have designed on this. So we want to say it's the next generation of learning, leveraging deep learning principles. But the end result is to develop critical thinking. That's really our goal, is to how do we get away from repetitious information and data to independent thinking. That's the critical. So critical thinking, by definition, is an analysis of observation, evidence, arguments to form a judgment, and that creates an ability to evaluate the facts and information and come to a decision that you can go forward and take an action. Critical thinking is also always, some people say it's like paint. It doesn't know good unless it's applied. So in rote learning and memory-based examination, there is very little role of critical thinking most of the time. It's all about remembering something and repeating that in a multiple choice question. So we also are not taught, especially in classrooms, how to think outside the box. Critical thinking allows you to think outside the box. And finally, critical thinking allows you to use generalized knowledge and information and tailor it to the context and take action. So why am I pushing the critical thinking so much? Because you will see that we have created we call it an engine that fosters and enhances critical thinking skills. We all know technologies are changing the learning landscape more than ever before. Deep learning, artificial intelligence, advanced analytics, customized solution, simulation, all of that is changing the landscape. And on top of that, neuroscience, which just recently has discovered that how we learn really depends on how the brain handles the information. The brain handles the information in layers, what they're saying, and there are multiple layers. How we work, how we remember, how we think critically depends on layers that's in our brain. Let's take a deeper look. Our brains consist of neural networks with multiple layers of interconnected nodes, and each layer building upon the previous layer to refine and categorize the information in particular compartments. That's how our brain works. To put it in a shortly, layers in our brain form the neural pathways of electrical signals to learn, understand, and form judgment that leads to critical thinking. And it's also, the word deep in deep learning comes from the fact not all layers in the brain work simultaneously at the same time, at the same level. There are hidden layers behind the layers, depending on the data, depending on the problem, depending on the challenge that the brain faces, these hidden layers get activated. And that's where the name deep layer comes in. So in this diagram, you can see 2 layers are deep, but it could be 7, 8 layers of deep activated by the size of the data, size of the challenge, size of the problem. It's almost like this. The brain layers are layered, as you can see on the left side, but in our platform, we have many layers similar to that, giving the brain the food and an impetus to really move that information, related information on a given topic and a given subject down the layers deeper into the brain. And you will see that in a second. So now I'm going to move to a live demo of what we just talked about. So as I just mentioned, we get information and we process it to the platform in deep learning that leads to critical thinking. Just 1 second, let me get this out of the way. So I'm going to turn the volume down. I don't know if it was audible or not, but I want to, about this demo, the demo is actually a presentation of the platform rather than the content. The content presented here is for example purposes, demonstration purposes only. But there's an intended audience for this particular demo, which are technical in nature, engineering students, people who are professional electrical vehicles and so forth. So we talk about science, evolution, architecture, application, safety, all of that related to one component of an electrical vehicle, which is the battery. In a typical electrical vehicle, there are 2 batteries. One is the high voltage battery that drives the engine, but also another 12-volt battery that really does all the controls. So this presentation is about the 12-volt battery, which you'll see in a second. So we are going to be only demoing today the module 2, but there are 2 modules in this demo. I'll come to that in a second. For module 2, the demo is particularly, let's go back for 1 second. Module 2 target audience, as I said, already have some basic understanding. We are not going to be teaching electrical theory and current voltage ammeters, but there are some prerequisites. Voltage, current, resistance, capacitance. We assume that this is already known, and if not, then we have to go back to a prerequisite section to get up to speed and then come to this module. So throughout this layered presentation, the platform, there are many buttons and icons that we use. There's a button called navigation that is always there in the screen in the corner that you can click anytime to really know what a specific icon stands for. Ask an instructor, or there's an AI avatar, references, there's a must-know section, good-to-know section, stories and event section, critical thinking question, and quiz. So we have assembled these all kinds of icons that's used throughout the presentation, throughout the platform, and this is the navigation tour that's always available for validation. So starting out, like I said, we have 2 modules. The module 1 is the principal theory, is more soft skills, sales-oriented content that we are not going to be demoing today, but it's available. If somebody wants to see how soft skills are developed in module 1, I'll be very happy to demo. But this module 2 is what I'm going to be talking about today. It's an installation, repair, troubleshooting, and maintenance of 12-volt battery and a heavy electrical vehicle. So let's click on the module 2. So in a 12-volt battery section, we are going to be talking it in 6 faults. There are how to troubleshoot, and you're not getting the right output in the volt voltage, not getting the right voltage too low. The current is too high, and the DC output is maxed without. So these are all different faults that we can measure. But the last one is the battery output shows reverse polarity. So we're going to be addressing that reverse polarity to that. So this is the platform. The right panel is all the deep learning layers, and you click on any layer to get the content download from that. So the learning objective of this module are covered in this must-know section. There is manual section that are embellished, and you can click here on any of this content that can take you to that section of the learning experience. We can watch a video. That also, I don't want to click the video, but you can watch a video to really learn about the battery. There's also a safety manual that completely describes the precautions and the warnings and the dangers associated with this product. And of course, there's some job aid. And the job aid allows you to get familiar with some simple instructions how to attend, how to work with this reverse polarity problem. So those are the must-know section pockets, and you can put any content in this. But embellishing or augmenting the must-know is a good-to-know section that we feel is another layer that helps you understand the battery much better. For example, we thought that the supply chain of a battery is important for not the battery technician, but also to really to increase your curiosity about where does battery come from. and how does it work? How do we get the battery? So there's an upstream, midstream, downstream, and end of life battery section. And what is inside the battery? How does the battery create the current? And there's a little video that talks about how we can create a battery in a fundamental way, and then the anode, the cathode, the electrolyte, and how electrons become ions, charged particles, and that create the energy. This video gives you that information. But along with that information, we thought that a did you know section would also be, for example, we always call it a lithium-ion battery, but the most expensive material in the lithium-ion battery is not lithium, it's cobalt. And the material with the highest price on the production. This is a little information, but it could be technical, non-technical, but something. But most importantly, in the fun facts section, we really try to give them something to, and you can view the fun facts in the PDF diagram. And for example, this factor, Gilbert Lewis invented lithium-ion battery in 1912. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize 41 times, but never won. So, an EV battery stands for 80% of its energy directly to the car, and a gasoline engine directs only 15% of the energy toward powering the car. So that's a big difference. That's something that gives you a perspective on the battery that you're dealing with. So that's the must-know section, augmenting that's a good-to-know section, augmenting must-know. That's another layer. But along with that information, we also want to tell them about how dangerous it is for a reverse polarized, a battery that's connected in the reverse polarized. There have been a number of accidents, and there are incidences on links here, PDFs here, that tells you all about what can happen if the battery is polarity is reversed. We'll come to the critical thinking section later on. There is a Emiliano is actually there to tell us about. But in the Emiliano section, in this critical thinking section, actually these are all critical thinking questions that we bring up here. And the answer is, first of all, we will go revisit this with the AI section. But in this section, almost like what would you do if you have this polarity? Can it be fixed? Can you fix it? What happens if the reverse polarity lithium battery? And is the battery damaged? So these are kind of questions that we feel will be necessary to really have the student think about it and come up with some answers, and the platform will give them the right answers to think about. And these are some recycling related. As you know, although we are trying to eliminate pollution, atmospheric pollution with electrical vehicles, but in some ways there's concern that electrical vehicles will create more pollution than carbon monoxide pollution. And this is an issue that has been under heavy debate right now. And so recycling is a big issue in the EV electrical vehicles. We tried to, we thought that this would be an important critical thinking question. How do you get rid of, how do you recycle? And then battery management is also a very critical issue. As you know, lithium-ion battery can catch fire on its own. It can sit there with the right temperature, right combination of humidity and moisture content and dryness. It can really self-ignite. And that's where the battery management system comes into play. And we talk about that in this video. And then finally, the battery safety. This is an important issue. What causes the battery to explode? How can it reignite? Can battery fires be extinguished? The answer to all of the questions can be found in this section. Now, before I go hand it over to Emiliano, I want to show you this also. As you know, remote learning is becoming more and more the norm than classroom learning. But in our platform, we have a direct connection to the element administrator which can receive questions or discussions or chats from a learner directly, and the administrator actually forward that question to the right instructor, to the right subject, and then they can be in communication. That's also part of our platform. And as I told you before, the navigation always brings you back to this core. Now, I would like to. This is the car coach. I would like to hand it over to Emiliano. Emiliano, can you take over and give a demo of the?
Yes, thank you, Kushal. Let me just share my screen first of all, and here we are.
The reason I want to emphasize the fact, the reason that I wanted Emiliano, he is the creator of this AI, and it's quite different than chatbot, and he will talk about it. But my presentation was not linked to the AI server, where his presentation is linked. So which is why I think that he can do a live demo and ask live question, like how do you make a sandwich or whatever.
Yes.
Or a pizza.
I assume you see I assume you see the screen. It says Teledec AI. Do you see?
Okay.
Is that all correct?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
we can see it.
Good. So the idea is that the Teledec AI is embedded in the platform, and one of the differences between our AI and anything else that is out there is that you can train it yourself. So we do also use OpenAI technology, but that is a layer, only one of the layers of the system. So basically, our system is trained by an expert, and connects us the expert's knowledge in addition to all the general knowledge that is out there. So let's just start with something very simple. I'm going to ask it to let's see, list subjects. It can have different lists of subjects, and so there's only one subject right now. There's just a demo. By the way, were you able to hear the voice? You did not hear the voice.
We can't hear it. If you want, you can share this screen. You can stop sharing, share it again, and then tick the little share sound box.
Okay.
So what I'll do,
I will do it. Yeah.
When you share,
oh yes,
there's
the
share sound box.
I see it. Yeah, I see it. I thought I did it earlier, but okay. So we could tell it to let's just say ask it to tell me about the engine light.
The engine light can indicate an emissions test failure. Ask me about emissions test failure.
Okay. So our bot, as you can see, can also show images and videos. And again, it's not just a chat bot. And these are the things that we trained it with. So we put in the images, and we can also have videos.
Emiliano,
Now,
can I ask you a quick? Can I ask a quick
Yes,
question?
Sure.
Can I input program the AI to my instruction manual for my car, for my technician's manual, and then ask questions from the manual question? How do I take the transmission down, or how do I change oil,
Yes.
or how do I change filter? Can it point to the right section in the manual very quickly?
Yeah, it can answer the question. It'll find the information and then answer automatically. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things. So like I said, you could ask it all kinds of questions. For example, we could ask it list all the concepts that it has and it's that we trained it on, and it'll give you a whole list of concepts. And right now there are 7.
This topic has 7 concepts.
And so you could, the important thing about critical thinking is you want to be able to have a conversation with an expert. That is something that has been missing in education up until now. You know, right now, most of education is still one-way transmission from a source to a lot of students. with AI, we can have an actual conversation where the student is asking questions to the tutor essentially, and developing better critical thinking skills because they are asking questions and being responsive in the conversation. So here now I'm just interacting with it. I'm asking it has a bunch of concepts. I could also go more in a linear fashion. So for example, I could ask it to go to the next topic. So it has a learning path. So
The
in this
emissions
case,
test failure can indicate many things. Ask me what am I missing to see possible causes of the emissions test failure.
okay, so it's leading me towards a path here.
There are
Okay.
5 prerequisites: air-fuel mixture, spark plugs, faulty gas cap, dirty air filter, broken catalytic converter.
So these are the different elements that could lead to emission test failure, and we can go into it again, go into more detail, such as tell me about the spark plugs. Oops. And of course, we can speak to it. So we can embed this into AR or VR, and actually use voice input as well.
If spark plugs are old, they will cause an emissions test failure. This video will show you how to check a spark plug.
Okay, and so like I said, we can embed micro videos into the system as well. We could then ask other kinds of questions. So for example, let's go back to the EV subject. We can, let's see, we had some questions that we were thinking about. We can ask it to, we can ask the bot to ask us questions about EV, right? Well, first of all, let's make sure we know what EV is.
EV is the
Oh, it's a
abbreviation
different
for
one. We want a different type of EV. Tell me about EV vehicles.
EV stands for electric vehicle, and these vehicles rely on energy stored in rechargeable batteries for propulsion. EV vehicles offer lower fuel costs, reduced emissions, and a quiet ride. They are becoming increasingly popular due to the numerous benefits they provide.
So I can ask me a question about EV vehicles. Let's see what we get.
What are the different types of EV vehicles?
Okay, so now we're going to have this as I'm being a more proactive student and trying to understand what am I missing? What should I understand? Frankly, I don't know the answer to this question. So let's see what I came up with.
Hybrid vehicles are a type of EV vehicle that combines both electric motors and gas-powered engines. They use both sources of energy to power the vehicle, with the electric motor providing power for low speeds and the gas-powered engine providing power for higher speeds. Hybrids offer many of the same benefits of electric vehicles, but with higher fuel economy and longer range.
Okay, so I think you get the idea. We're going to have this conversation. Kushal,
I just want to know if you can ask the bot, what is a critical thinking question on an electrical vehicle? Let's see what it comes up with.
What are the environmental benefits of electric vehicles over traditional gas-powered
I
vehicles?
think that's a good question, isn't it?
That's a good question. Very good question. What's a critical component, safety component in an EV battery? What's a critical safety component, safety concern, critical safety concern of an EV battery?
A critical safety concern for an EV battery is the potential for a fire hazard due to overheating or short-circuiting. Proper maintenance, such as keeping batteries charged and avoiding overcharging, can help reduce the risk of an EV battery fire. Additionally, EV batteries should be regularly checked for corrosion or damage that could lead to a fire hazard.
Fantastic.
Excellent. I think that's correct.
Last question. Can you reverse, can EV batteries have a reverse polarity? And how?
It's just one question at a time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, EV batteries can have a reverse polarity. Reverse polarity occurs when the charging system has incorrect wiring, causing the current to flow in the wrong direction.
Fantastic.
This can cause damage to the battery and can also cause a fire hazard. To prevent this, it is important to make sure the battery is wired correctly and to follow all safety instructions when charging an EV battery.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I am very satisfied. Now let's open it up to the question and answer to the audience. Anything else you want to cover, Emiliano?
No, I think that's good for now.
I think you've demoed it.
We are going to have a special session about AI in May. Did you want to mention that?
Yes. Actually, our next session, end of May, we have in the monthly webinar series, we want to have a strictly AI and learning session to where we want to really push the Teledec AI capabilities to test. And I would like to invite you. We'll send you the invitation later on. So that will be completely dedicated. This one is on the platform itself, of which AI is a part. But in the next session, next month's webinar, we will just strictly talk about the AI and the Teledec AI. So can we open it up to the question and answer, Evan?
Absolutely. I mean, first off, I just want to say how impressive it is, both the critical thinking engine and then also an AI that is trained on a specific knowledge set. And I saw just now from this quick demo that the two are completely aligned. Like you just gave all stuff about EV batteries, and then I have this AI expert that I can counsel with, and anytime I forget something, I can just quickly go to them and they can give me more detailed explanation. So I think it really is like the cutting edge of the future of learning, and I just want to say that I'm very impressed with it. In terms of questions, everybody, we have some incredible panelists. All you have to do if you want to ask a question is just pop it in the chat. Okay, we have some questions that were submitted before the event by some of our mailing list subscribers. So I'm just going to share my screen. We're going to go to the first question from people that submitted them ahead of the webinar. But if you have any questions, please just type them in the chat. I just checked now, and everybody has the ability to type a question. Can some people just type something in the chat just as a test, just so I can see that everybody's here? Test, thank you. There we go. So that's all we need, guys. Just type in your question and then we'll get to it. So I'll just share my screen right now. First question, and this is for TK. What makes this type of LMS training better than other LMS training packages? Sorry, TK. Yeah, there you go.
Yes. I think this type of LMS training, the normal type of LMS training is a lot of video questions and answers. The interactive part to be a better teacher is the most important thing that distinguish this type of LMS training compared to the previous type. Meaning, if the LMS can identify your questions that got stuck, because a lot of time the students got stuck somewhere. If they can articulate and they can understand, and the teacher, so-called the AI teacher, the new LMS training, can answer your questions properly, like critical thinking, that will give you another level of learning. That's the difference.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly kind of like what I was thinking as well when I was seeing the demo. Kushal, is there anything you want to add to that?
I just wanted to ask TK. TK, you have a PhD in computer science. You work in artificial intelligence. You know more about AI than any one of us. So the demo that you just saw about the result of the learning that we delivered on the platform, must know, good to know, events, etc., all the layered content that led to the AI questions of what is the critical question. So the critical thinking question was the critical, that my effort was to prove that this layered approach works and the critical thinking questions can be answered, and if not answered, the student can learn about the critical thinking. Can you make a comment on that? Did it work for you from the way that we presented it?
Yeah, I think in some way it works for me. I'm going to give you one example. If a person do not know anything, they cannot have critical thinking. And then they have several layers of critical knowledge. Right? Information. What is there to know? What is good to know? Information that you can search. But a person should have this. So what is critical thinking? It is able to connect, to create the most critical.
An independent judgment.
Independent judgment, the most important problems in this issue. Right? So without that knowledge, your mind cannot search for a lot of solutions, a lot of problems, and summarize and to come up with the critical problems and the critical solutions. So to do that, so that is another level deeper. That's why you have this layer of must know, good to know, informations, like different layer. And then with this kind of layer, you can have better critical thinking. And for this system, the most important thing is for the system to help you to do critical thinking, which means they can answer some critical thinking questions, is the AI part that assists better than the passive learning, that the system dump all information to you, and you have to do your own critical thinking, asking your questions and do a lot of Q&A. This, with the AI assistant, if you are stuck in somewhere you don't understand, just ask. I think that is the interactive that you can do. I think maybe in another 10 years or so, they can start to read your facial expressions and and they know where you got stuck. That will be another innovation. But for now, right? For now, they cannot read your facial expressions, but they can hear you. They can hear your microphone. So just ask. Be a good student. Just ask.
One follow-up question. I'll be very brief. TK, you are in learning. You are a teacher, instructor. Have you seen any learning management system similar to what we demonstrated here with all the layered approach and all the AI assistant and the instructor connectivity and all of that. How do you rate this compared to others that you have experienced?
I haven't seen something like this, but somehow similar to this, because they always have instructions, and then they have interactive cases, instructions, and then they'll do a quiz. In the quiz, they are going to explain what you understand, what you don't understand, and why. So that is very important in learning with video. What I can see here that is different is you have a layer approach that you say what is must know, what is good to know, and then able to answer your questions. Because a lot of instructions today, they cannot listen to you. Okay, there's a video and there's a information dumped to you and they have a Q&A. So if this system can listen to you, they can listen to your questions and answer what is your questions, where you get stuck. That is something new to me.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, TK. Next question, and this comes from the chat. We got it from Ryan Staples. How do these models continue to learn and grow with emerging information once embedded into a corporation? And how do these corporations maintain their data integrity and keep what the model has learned from being shared externally? Okay, Emiliano, this is for you.
Okay. So the Knowledge Avatars platform allows us to train the bot very easily with no code. So you just add content to in the platform, and it's added to the bot. But that training, so basically, somebody from a corporation can add or remove content at will at any time, and the training occurs immediately, and the bot learns immediately. But that content does not go into the open AI database. Nobody else has access to that. There's only people, only your bot has access to that information, to that proprietary information. So we have a bot widget so that bot widget gets placed onto your own LMS or your own website. Behind that could be behind some kind of a wall of some sort, a password wall. And then so it's only people in your company can access it. Does that answer my question?
Fantastic, Emiliano. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, because we're going to go quite quickly through the questions now, because we've got 10 minutes and we want to get through a lot of them. Uma Prasad, I'm going to do your question after the next one. This next one is for Colby. And so Colby, if you were to start in one area with this new tool, where would you start?
But lovely question.
Yeah, and I think you kind of set me up for it too when you staged it with electric vehicles, with the entire industry shifting that way, and a skills gap occurring there and a certification gap that's already there in the industry. Start there, right? We're starting on a new technology. Why not put first things first with an AI bot and make sure we're feeding it with the right things right out the gate? That layered approach, that's first things first, doing things right the first time around, is make it relevant to the person and let them click around, rather than being to what TK was saying, an information dump, right? It goes back to who's putting the premium in the car. If you're LMS administrators, the expert, you're scaling that expert at this point in time to help thousands of people rather than just one classroom of individuals at a time. So start with the EV realm for sure. I would start there.
Okay.
Fantastic, Colby. Anything to add to that, Devendra? Sorry, you're on mute, Devendra.
Yeah, Devendra,
Yeah, hi everyone. Yes. So I would want to start like in the EVs and also in the area of sales and soft skills. I think a layered approach will definitely help in creating an overall knowledge. We face a lot of issues with unilateral training, which talks only about a presentation, a video, and then bombards a student with question answers from that video itself. It does not give you a holistic information, cannot build passion, cannot build customer empathy, cannot make the consultant or the executive customer centric. This layered approach, which talks about must know, good to know stories and incidences, has a lot of reference context on the centricity, on what is important from a customer standpoint, will develop a person holistically and will improve his productivity when he understands the customer also. I think it's very important to build customer empathy and passion to serve the customer along with the real content. So I think it's very important to build sales and soft skill also with the help of this approach. And the use of the artificial intelligence, the avatar that we are talking about, will really help the learner to cut through, to get answers to all his questions, which are hitherto not answered by in a standard LMS. So I think that kind of interactivity is a huge plus, and it will go a long way.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, Devendra. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much, but I can imagine as this develops over the next 10 years, seeing more and more creative ways of using this technology. All right, so Chris, thank you. We've got the next question, which is, where was it? Was it Amma? Okay, Uma Prasad. I'm just going to copy it here. I'm going to overwrite whatever was going on there. Is AI an enabler, or can it even completely replace human intelligence? Okay, this is like a philosophical question, but I'll let Kushal and Emiliano tackle this one.
I think I will let TK answer that question, because he is a PhD in artificial intelligence. Can you, okay, TK, replace human brain intelligence with a robot? It's your question.
No. So artificial intelligence is artificial, and they are very productive. They are very powerful. So a lot of things, like for example, if you want to add arithmetic, some number plus number, I will not use my brain to do it. I'll use calculator, right? So in today's world, you will use AI to do a lot of search, to process a lot of natural language like ChatGPT. Today, GPT-4, I'm going to use GPT-4 to process a lot of image and create a lot of image with the text directive that I want to ask them to do. And ChatGPT-5, I will say, when Michael Jackson sang in his concert with a B flat, I can ask that, and they will go out to all his concert, listen to it, and they say at 1 minute and 33 seconds, at this point in that concert, they sang that, and then they will list down all. It's like they can do a whole PhD research for you if you specify enough in matter of minutes, rather than matter of 1 year that for you to dig up. So they are very powerful because they have access to a lot of information quickly, and they can process our natural language, and they can do statistics, and they can do a lot of inferences. But there are still something in human because they are still artificial, right? If something went wrong, let's say in the mechanics, and who is one to blame? You say, oh, I blame my AI. They have no responsibility. If a car collide autonomous, someone has to be responsible ultimately. So I still think in the future there will be a lot of human intelligence using a lot of powerful artificial intelligence to multiply their productivity in an exponential way. But human cannot be replaced.
Fantastic, TK. And we just have a very quick follow-up question, which is, please, TK, and this is also for Kushal and Emiliano, can you suggest some LMS that suits this model you're explaining? Is there an LMS that suits this particular model? Kushal, maybe you can speak to that.
Let me start out by saying that our platform, we at Teledec has its own learning management system that we offer to our clients. This platform can reside in our own LMS, or we can integrate this platform in the client's LMS. Many clients have their own LMSs, so we don't want to replace that with ours. But the platform generates signals, and that can be integrated with the LMS in a custom programming. Not a big deal. We have done this in the past. But to answer your question, we can provide the LMS that work with our platform, or we can integrate the platform with the customer's LMS. That's the short answer.
Fantastic. So Jocko Dollars, who is the person who asked the question, yeah, basically, if you're interested in looking at an LMS solution, then please reach out to us and we can absolutely help you find one. What I'd like to do actually is go to Ryan Staples very quickly. I'm just going to replace this question. I'm going to take guys. I give preference to people that are live on the call asking the questions. So Ryan, very quickly, can this solution work in generating data analysis after being granted access to a data lake? So I think Emiliano, that's probably for you.
Emiliano or TK?
Well, if we're going to talk about
Emiliano.
specifically our
Can your training, questions, AI work with data analysis?
We are now implementing GPT-4 into our system, and apparently GPT-4 has a very strong analytical capabilities. So theoretically, the answer will be yes, but we have to test some of the. One of the things we're also doing is we're setting up a system where you can easily upload content, easily just add content, your own content, your own data, and upload it, and then have the bot answer questions about that data. So we are now in the process of implementing that, and so I would say that within the next month or so, we should be able to do exactly that.
Hey, Emilio, is your ChatGPT is the engine, the back engine, a ChatGPT-4?
No.
Yes,
Yes? Okay.
it's one of the engines.
Okay.
We're using GPT-4. We just got the APIs for that, and but we're also using our own proprietary engine.
So the answer is yes.
Fantastic. The answer is yes, in 1 month. Awesome. So, well, guys, I'm very cognizant of time. I want to respect everyone's time, but I also want just Kushal to be able to close out and point everyone towards an offer that we have going. So, Kushal, do you want to talk about the offer that we have for everyone on this call?
Yeah. At the end of every webinar, we usually make a special offer to really appreciate all the attendees or their connections. The special offer is that we will be very happy to provide, absolutely at no obligation, to review your training needs and see what is needed to really incorporate that content that you are teaching in your classes now or online now. If you would like to see what would it do, will that content put in our platform improve critical thinking skills? We will be happy to take on the prototype for you And for a special 30 days, we offer that anybody can go to our website, teledec.com, click on special offer, and then fill up the form, and we'll get you into conversation, and we'll be happy to really offer you the free prototype evaluation, and here's the special offer in Teledec application. So we'll definitely get you into a conversation and see how can we help you create a prototype using our platform.
Thanks,
Yes.
Kushal. And I just put the link in the chat for everybody. So if you're interested, please open that link in the chat and just submit your information, and we'll get in contact. We'll get on a call to see if we can help you build a prototype. Okay. So we're already over by 2 minutes, but a lot of information on this particular call. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who came and stayed until the end, taking an hour out of your busy day on a Thursday. I also want to thank our panelists, as always. Thank you so much, guys, for your incredible expertise. And I would like to thank Chris, who helps me in the back end, okay, doing all of the preparation. And most of all, I'd like to thank Kushal for bringing us all together and speaking. And Kushal, I'll let you have the last word. Don't worry.
The last word is this, that we are always searching for ways to innovate and experiment and improve learning. That's what we have done for 35 years. And it will be our pleasure to connect with you, and for simply to go to our website, teledec.com, and if you can leave a message in our contact form or through LinkedIn, if we can get connected to really see how we can both be a knowledge partner to do this experiment and to go forward. If there's any topic that you would like us to cover in our next webinars or upcoming webinars, I'll be very happy to talk about that. And I'd like very much your active participation in this revolution that we are undergoing right now. Thank you so much, and you have a great afternoon. And I thank you, all my friends in this panel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Have
Thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
rest of the day.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.